So we got started sort of on the neurodivergent path, and they were kids who, some of them didn't go to church. Some of them did, but didn't have a positive experience with church because they couldn't sit still, whether it was Sunday school or worship. They needed to be moving, they needed to fidget. But here we're finding that we can move as well as we learn while we're learning. And so that started sort of the neurodivergent, recognizing that in the youth that we had coming. Then I started my DMin and tying in, the curriculum that's out there written for our youth is a lot of read this story and answer these questions, which is not the best for neurodivergent, anyone of all ages. And so I started looking for ways that we could incorporate spiritual practices. As their children with autism can run and play and climb and hit, and there's lots of textures, there's soft places to land. We have a room that's full of bean bags that they can just go in there and roll. We've got Lego, and so all of the things that neurodivergent children might want to do for sensory. And I think that really is the growing edge of where we can be. My big dream is to turn that into some sort of worshiping community. I'm not sure what that looks like yet. I keep telling people God's driving the boat. I'm holding on and going where God goes. But I know that wasn't the image and the vision of what we thought we were going to build. But it's the faithful path that we've been on. I have noticed since doing things like Lectio Divina, exploring scriptures through art, through clay, through painting, doing guided meditations, it has impacted the overall participation of the youth. They are more engaged. They are also more behaved. If you come in here on a Sunday night when we're doing a Bible study, we might have one kid sitting over there in that swing and one kid in that blue box and another one over here on this blue mat, and they just go wherever, and we give them the freedom to do that. A lot of families of neurodivergent children and youth and adults who are neurodivergent do not feel so welcome in churches because they learn differently, because they need the sensory. Sometimes churches can be overly loud. And so just being a place where we're aware of that. That's not to say this place doesn't get loud and chaotic sometimes, but just being aware and giving people permission. If it's too much, you can go into the quiet room. Or if it's too much, you can go sit someplace else. So I do think it does benefit children and adults.
So basically, I reached out to Beth, and I run a homeschool co-op program for families, and they come here 3 days a week, and I teach them their core subjects, and they also have some electives on Wednesdays. In August, we started with 4, and by January, we had 16. They love the atmosphere, and it's always very engaging for them. This place allows them to have frequent breaks, which many of them with ADHD need those breaks to, just kind of get the wiggles out. I'm finding that many of my students are on the spectrum, and many of them didn't do well in public school because it was more traditional learning, and since COVID, we've got away from hands-on, and it's a lot on the computer in the classrooms, even with the teacher facilitating, but it's a lot of computer-based, and my students didn't perform well in those situations. They needed that kinesthetic learning, opportunities for that. When my daughter asked me if I could homeschool her, I wasn't sure if I could, because I'm a single mom of 4 children, 1 biological and 3 that I've adopted from foster care. But she asked, and she was persistent. And so I prayed, and the Lord opened the doors for me to start my organization, Rad Arts Academy. I had no idea where we would go, but I knew if I had enough students, I could be able to have an income for my family. And so I kept seeing all these ads for Urban Village and camp and different things that were going on, and I reached out just to the Urban Village, and I was able to meet Beth, and she immediately offered a scholarship for summer camp for my little son. And I said, wow, like somebody actually cares for my kid who likely has special needs or comes from hard places. And I was able to connect with her and to start my school. And for me as a mom, Urban Village has been my source of refuge, my source of comfort, a place where I don't feel alone, where I know that other people are, I can talk to, even to Beth, who has adoptive children, and I can talk to others. They have a support group for moms who have children with autism, and this is just a place where I can come and know that I'm not on this journey by myself. It's a village. I've been able to find what works for them because it's a small group. When you have 30 to 40 kids in one classroom, it's quite impossible to cater to each student. But when you just have 5 to 7 children in a class, you're able to see, oh, this child is very interested in dinosaurs. So when we do math, I'm gonna make this be about dinosaurs, and we're gonna multiply dinosaurs, and they're gonna get it because they love dinosaurs. Or this child loves music. I'm gonna bring a microphone, and I'm gonna have them do karaoke because they're struggling with reading, but they're gonna read the lyrics because they love to sing. And you just find what works for them, and you're able to do it.